This will last forever. Together forever. This will last forever. Joined together when God is joined together. Nothing or no one can put asunder. This will last forever. Together forever. This will last forever. Joined together when God is joined together. Nothing or no one can put asunder. This will last forever. Together forever. This will last forever. Joined together when God is joined together. Nothing or no one can put asunder.
Hey family, welcome to another episode of Marriage and Ministry, and the two shall become one. Here, we talk about marriage. We want to talk about it as a ministry, and then we want to celebrate and to encourage those who are married. But we also realize that the marital relationship has struggles and challenges, and that's one of the main reasons why we have this show, so we can encourage you in it. And unfortunately, sometimes it ends in divorce. My next guest is Minister Tanya Parker, and I'm so excited about Tanya today and her sharing her story. So we prayed.
Yes.
We prayed before, and look, Tanya.
Okay.
Listen, me and Tanya, when we get together, because she be going in. Anybody who knows Minister Tanya knows she will take you from 0 to 10. They tease me about that. But we have a good time talking about the goodness of the Lord.
Oh, yes.
And just from knowing you and hearing your testimony, your story, I know that you are a picture of restoration. You are the walking testimony of God being a restorer.
Yes, he is.
And I also know that you have some things that if you could shake people by the shoulders
Come on now.
and say one thing, you have that one thing. So the show goes by so fast. 30
It
minutes
does.
go by quick. We're
Yes.
going to start with that.
Okay.
We're not going to wait until the end for me to say, what would you like the people to know before we end? I'm going to ask you this. What would you like the people to know as we begin? Like, what is that thing? You graciously accepted my invitation.
Yes.
And I know talking about divorce, that is not an easy thing.
It's not.
And divorce is not an easy thing to go through. I've counseled some people through it. I'm supporting people through it. And everybody's desire, you want to win.
Yes.
And the world and society,
Come
and
on
even the church sometimes can make divorce look like losing.
Yes.
And it's not, it is contrary to what God would have for us, but that doesn't mean we're losing, because we're always winners in God.
Yes.
So that's what we're gonna start with.
Absolutely.
What do you want the people to know? Why are you sitting in that orange chair?
First of all, because I understand that, like you said, divorce seems like you fail. And I know for myself, you feel like, wow. And for me, for the people that may not know, I married my husband twice. We was married young the first time, and we wasn't married about a year or two. And then we was divorced in 2004, and then remarried in 2005,
Wow.
and then re-divorced in 2011. But with that is that, first of all, I had too many people in the beginning, and we have to learn how, first of all, marriage is a ministry. And I think a lot of times what we think marriage is going to be, we have the ideal of marriage, and I think people want marriage, but they don't want to do the work. And it comes with work. It comes to understanding that, because like your show is, that two are becoming one. Yes. But we first understand two broken vessels come together sometimes. And so we put so many emphasis on the man trying to make me whole and to make me happy and the things of that nature. So for me and my marriage is that, again, I had too many people in the beginning, and then God restored it. And I thank God that he restored it, because that second time around, I did better as far as honoring my husband. But again, at that time, ministry and trying to balance children, marriage, and ministry, it was a little struggle. but also understood that my husband had issues of his own, like his own inner demons.
Right.
Yeah. So I did all I was supposed to do that second time, and I thank God for restoring it and allowing me to do it. But then I understood that you could do all that you're supposed to do, and it still not be good. You know what I'm saying? It still failed. Like, my marriage still failed. It's still because we understand that we can't control the other person.
Right.
And I also understand that, you know, I had to be okay with letting it go. And he left, not me, you know. So I just say, you know, with that being said, restoration is available. God is able to restore it. God is able to do it again. And people are like, you married the man twice. But yes, but even in that, God was still great. You know what I'm saying? And so I will also tell people that, you know, when I go back to restoration, right? I really believe if anyone, you do get divorced, understand that God again can get you through. And I would say go to counseling. And then here at Word, they had something called divorce care. And so I was able to go to that and being able to deal with my divorce and heal from my divorce before I was able to continue to go forward. I do desire to be married again. I believe I am marriage material.
Yes, honey.
I am marriage material, but of course, you know, so just learning how to be patient and learning how to be good with Tanya in my singleness now, because again, we want to be married, and your friends seem like everybody on the book getting married. They're getting married and things of that nature. But I'm so grateful that I'm learning how not to be anxious. And I know Smokey Norfolk said the other day, you know, desperation breeds disobedience.
Wow, that's a good
Huh?
word.
It's good.
That's a
So
word.
you need to not be anxious and you not be desperate to have someone that you end up settling for someone that God didn't create for you.
Yeah.
And so I also want to tell that person that you got to understand, you got to be complete with yourself, love yourself, enjoy being you. So when you do get in a marriage, you understand that, you know, you got to have accountable for yourself. So you do things unto God. And I think people don't understand it's a covenant. And when that covenant, society has made marriage so easy to get in and get out.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I don't like this, I don't like that, so I'm going to just go get me another one.
Right.
But it's not that. You have to look at it, again, as ministry, again, as that it's not easy to get. It's gonna take some work. And what I loved about your segment with your husband is that what he said in regards to, you got to know what works for you.
Right.
And your household. Yes, you might see other people and how they do their marriage, and that is good, but you got to find what works for you.
Right.
And that's something that I took away for if I go back into it again. I understand I might see others and how they do it, but mine have to be tailored just for my marriage.
Yeah. And that's good. That's really good. And you said several things that I just kind of want to highlight.
Yes.
One, we do still have divorce care here. And
Awesome.
I love it. It is, and I need to get them on the show.
Yes.
Minister Joseph and Nikita Beach.
Awesome.
They lead divorce care. And we encourage people to come to divorce care to help be restored after divorce. But we also encourage, if you feel like you're at that point of wanting to pursue a divorce, to try counseling to see if you can, avoid that.
Yes.
And so divorce care is a ministry here at Word, very powerful.
Yes, it is.
It's part of Tanya's testimony, and so
Yes.
I will encourage you to do that. One, because God's whole goal
Come on now.
is for us to be restored.
Yes.
That's why he sent Jesus, for us to be
Thank you
restored
for
unto
redeeming,
him.
yes.
And, to redeem us so that we can be restored unto him. And he wants us to be restored within ourselves. Not by ourselves, meaning we can't restore, but within ourselves. Because a lot of times the enemy uses our brokenness.
Come on now.
And he try to bury us with it. Like, you're broken, so you can't be used. You
Come
know,
on, yes.
when you used to break something, and when you were younger, and you would throw it away, and your mom look at you like, did you pay for that? You better get that out of that trash can. You better put some glue on it, and you right?
Absolutely.
And so, because why? You didn't pay for that. And I think about when I think about us, we didn't pay for us. And so that's
Come
why
on now,
we
that's
are
good right
so quick to get in and out of stuff that the Lord has already deemed established, because we are prideful and think we are our own lives.
Yes.
Another thing that you said was, and I love, because you have a minister's heart. Because in talking about divorce, and you and I even talked about, we do not want this show to be a bashing of no one. Your ex-husband, no one.
None.
And so I love it how you focus on you.
Yes.
And what you learn from it and what you are learning, right? And
Yes.
then just acknowledge that he had some things he was working through as well.
Absolutely.
And I like that because so many times divorce can leave us bitter.
Come on now.
And when you cannot talk about the other person well, you need to go back to the altar and allow the Lord to heal you, because they are still a son of the Lord.
Yes, they are.
They are still created in his image. He still declared they were good in Genesis 1-2, right?
Come on now.
And so I love that about you. And then we were talking about that. And we were in the car for an hour and something, so we had more than 30 minutes. So
Yes, we
look,
did.
an hour there and an hour back. So we had about
Yes.
2 hours and some change.
Yes.
And a lot more came out. But I think hitting these highlights can be very encouraging to people.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
use the word I've learned, I'm learning. And I tell my children all the time, they're in athletics.
Yes.
They're in school. Kudos to them. They're all in just honor courses. And it can be challenging.
It can
and I
be.
tell them all the time, if you learn, you never lose.
Come on now.
Right? And so you may not win, meaning on the scoreboard, it may look like the other person scored more than you, but you still didn't lose if you can take something out of that.
Yes.
You kind of talked about those lessons that you learned, but you talked about your second time being married. You were trying to balance ministry
Yes.
and, give attention to your husband and your children. Let's talk about ministry and marriage, because that's what, the show is about.
Yes.
And so I'm glad you brought that up. When you do get married again, we're speaking
in
you
that,
already
sister. Come on
said
now.
you are marriage material and you have that
Yes.
desire.
Absolutely.
And I know that marriage honors the Lord. And so I believe he's going to give you that desire of your heart.
Yes.
So when you get married again, you are a minister. You're not going to turn in your minister license. And even if you did, you are a minister at heart. I mean, you
Absolutely.
can't help it.
Don't need a title.
You
Don't
can't
need a
help
title
it.
at
You
all.
can't help it. You
No.
don't need no title, no paper.
None.
So you're still going to be a minister.
Yes.
How are you going to approach it differently?
Not gonna approach it differently. Gonna still just look at it that, again, we first into God. And I think a lot of times when you get into marriage, you still looking at, again, the other person and but we are still two individuals that came together. And I pray that we understand that everything that I do, I'm gonna do unto God. Because when I give account, I'm not gonna give account for my husband.
Wow.
I'm not gonna give account for anything but what Tanya did. And I tell a lot of women that I minister to about marriage, or when they going through that, they have to understand, do what you're supposed to do regardless of what he does or don't do. And I think that's a big key. Sometimes we only do things based off what the other partner does. And so with ministry alone, I know that this is a soul.
Right.
First of all,
Right,
you know,
right,
and so I
right.
even let's just be straight up honest. I dealt with infidelity, and in that season of that, I just wanted to touch on that real quickly, because a lot of times we do really get hurt, we get minded. But I understood at the time I was the one proclaiming Christ. So I handle it as, again, unto Christ. And I know people saying that's kind of, but you have to. So I knew I had to do different than another person would handle it, because again, I'm the one proclaiming Christ. So I felt like whatever actions that I did, they're gonna see, they have to still see my light. And so yes, and I'm grateful for the relationship that me and my ex-husband still have. You know, yes, it was ugly, and we had, thank God for restoration in that, but at the end of the day, I respect our differences. You know, and I understand that it's certain things that we can't say do, but so I say that again, ministry will always be number one.
Right.
You know, if you in the building or outside the building.
Right.
Because that's why God created us. Even if you're married or not married, everybody that's a believer is a minister of the word.
Right.
They should be, you know, you're the first letter that people are gonna see about Christ. And so that has to also be seen in all that you do. And so I pray that I know that my husband would definitely have to love God and know God, but he might not be at the same level as I am.
Right.
And I'm gonna be okay with that, because I understand, again, God is the one that changes and transforms, and I can't do that.
Right.
I only can just be who I am.
Right. And that's good. And you hit on it. perfectly, you won't approach the person differently because they're still, you're still different.
Yes.
And I think if you go into marriage thinking, oh, this is going to be better,
Come on now.
then you get disappointed
Yes.
because we're all human. The Bible calls us filthy, right? Our
Yes.
righteousness as filthy rags, we nothing but dust, right?
Absolutely.
And so no one is perfect. Everybody's
No,
gonna have
it's
mistakes, so you're gonna be disappointed.
Absolutely.
But I love when you talked about my husband will have to be a believer.
Yes.
And so presenting myself to draw believers.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about divorce, I know from how I have supported
It hurts now.
my sisters, my brothers going through it, the hurt.
Yes.
But one thing that I see a lot is the shame.
Yes.
And shame can shut our mouths.
They can.
Shame can make us kind of fade into the background. So how did you, and you may not have been ashamed, and so I'm not trying to put that on you if you were not.
We did. I went through that.
But I know that's a very real thing. But the
Yes.
Bible also tells us the righteous will never be put to shame.
Come on now.
Right?
Yes.
And so how do you reconcile that? Lord, you declared in your word the righteous will never be put to shame, but I am here feeling ashamed. One, why do you think divorce brings on shame? And then two, how did you deal with that to kind of say, how did you transition from shame to restoration?
First of all, it's because you witnessed this marriage in front of a lot of people, and so the shame come in like, man, now they came and witnessed that we would be together forever, and now we not gonna be that.
Right.
So it's more of because of what other people was gonna think.
Right.
But then when I was okay with me, and I understand people gonna say what they gonna say, that's them. But
how did you get okay with you?
I had to do the inner work. I basically had, again, the counseling.
Okay.
Telling myself, again, you did all that you could do.
Okay.
You can't control the other person and what they did and what they didn't do. And so I had to continue to affirm that it's okay. It's okay. Like you again, God restored me, and He restored me in a way that it was okay to move forward.
Wow.
And don't attach yourself for thinking of what other people are gonna think. I think that's what happens. A lot of times it's more about your faith with others than with
that's a good
yourself.
word.
Within yourself, you know what I'm saying? So definite the counseling and also the affirmation of yourself, and then learning how to be okay and loving you.
Right.
I think that expectation that we put on other people to make us good or okay is that big problem. And so when you learn how that you are, I think that you should be a complete person. They be a complete person, and y'all come together. Right. Instead of you feeling like he gotta complete me.
Right.
He gotta complete me. He gotta tell me that I look good. He has to tell me that I'm an amazing woman. No, I already know that I'm these things and these characteristics. And so it's basically always, my ladies, do the work. And I think a lot of times we don't want to do the work first, and we have, again, this idea that I want to be married, I gotta get married, and then we go in and it's just not what it's supposed to be. So yes, and I also want to say to someone out there about whatever you see in the beginning, sometimes we think, oh, we get married, it's gonna change, I'm gonna make him do this, and no, you can't make nobody do anything. Let's be honest about this thing. I want you to, again, know that it's whatever you bring, and what you see, if they doing it before marriage, so the work. People understand it's a price that you're gonna have to pay. So just remember how much you want to pay, or what cost it's going to cost you. And marriage costs you. Yeah. I mean, it's a payment. Like, we got to understand that. It's work. Yeah. But it's beautiful when it's worked together, though. Like, I love marriage. I love, and I minister to a lot of people that are still married. And I am an advocate for it.
and that's a good point when you talk about you as a minister. So you minister from a place, I think about as parents.
Yes.
When we minister to our children, we want them to avoid pitfalls that, we fell in, so they don't have to fall in that hole themselves. And so I think about, you minister to married people, because some people may think, well, how can you tell somebody something, you got a divorce? But quite the contrary, you minister to married people because you understand, one, you honor marriage. And you understand how sometimes you can help them avoid pitfalls that they may not be able to see because they're blinded in the moment.
Absolutely.
And so talk about Minister Tanya in the marriage, Minister Tanya after the marriage, and Minister Tanya now.
Oh, my goodness.
Because I think that if we can start seeing, and that's why the show is marriage and ministry, and the two shall become one. The two people, but marriage and the concept of ministry coming as one, and we understand. But that's not limited to marriage. This show is just about marriage.
Absolutely.
But it's about parenting, and it's about your personal life and your friends and how you act on Facebook and how you walk through Walmart and how you pump gas at Sam's Club. If we see ourselves as in everything that we do as ministry. Because how do you define ministry?
I define ministry as everything is unto God. It's actually living in such a way that's pleasing to Him.
So it's not a committee meeting?
No, it's not a meeting.
Okay. It's not your name on a
no,
ministry road?
Because it's about what you do when people don't watch you.
Right.
That's what real, true ministry is, right?
Right.
I mean, and so that's why we have to understand when we at Walmart or when we at the gas station or even at our job that people are watching, right? And if I proclaim that I am of Him, but my attitude and my doesn't line up with that gets people to like, you sure? You know what I'm saying? So again, in everything with ministry has to first of all realize that I needed a savior. And it's so crazy. My husband actually, my ex-husband actually brought me in. Because I was like brought up in church and you had your moments and then you do, but he actually was the one that got me into the ministry that I found out I did have a call.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Wow, and so I'm grateful for him to that because I did not. I knew of Christ. You love Him. You go to church because that's what you was told to do. But I could still go to church and still sin or do what I was doing, and I felt no conviction at all. Right. You know how that type of thing you go because you know that that's what you're supposed to do. But then when I was able to go and you was taught the word in such a way that you was convicted, you knew you can't do this the same,
right?
And that makes a difference. And when you have an encounter with God, that things gotta change. They can't be the same. And so the person with ministry in the first marriage is like, again, I was learning that I had a call on my life, and that and I remember my old pastor calling me, spiritual gangster, because now I'm rolling up on folks. I'm rolling up on people because I'm feeling like I never saw the script. He had asked the question, when was the last time you witnessed to somebody about God? I had never done. I mean, it seemed like that particular time, it just opened up something I never, you know what I'm saying? Right. So it's just, so that person, so I always had a servant's heart. Even before I found out I had a call, I had a servant's heart. I always wanted the best for other people, right. And I did. So that was a thing that was wrong in my marriage too, because I was putting everybody before my husband, and I would, taking care of everybody. But now I understand that your first ministry is home. Right. So you got to take care of home, and then you can take care of everybody as well. But you definitely got to have a balance with I think when I think about balance, I'm thinking everything is, but I'm able to juggle and get things together. So yeah, so definitely have involved in so many places. But I want somebody to know today again that it's all about them first. Right. And I think if you can continue to look at that. When you even with your partner, that everything that I do is based off, this is what I want to do, instead of I'm doing it because you did this for me or you did that for me. So my response is based off your response, and it shouldn't be like that. Right. It should be that God said He honors marriage. And so I should honor my marriage because I'm in covenant with God first. Then I'm in covenant with my husband or my partner.
And I think it speaks to our identity.
Yes.
That thing, what we identify with is what we're loyal to.
Come on now.
I think about, it's football. People, people, and I am people. People will sometimes change their whole schedule around the team they identify with. And so if your team is playing at 1, you go to an early service, right? You eat right after because you identify with that. And I think when we understand our identity in Christ, and I know it's a maturation process.
Yes.
I know it's a maturation process, so I'm not beating anybody up. Then, because a lot of times as well, when we go back to that shame, it's because our identity was as a wife. Or our identity is as a mom.
Yes.
Or our identity is as a minister. And so when someone hurts us in the church, then we're no longer loyal as the church because what we identify with hurt us, right?
That's good right there.
And or when we're no longer married, we feel like we're nothing because our identity was in that marriage. So we can't be loyal to ourselves or God because we never really identify with that. And so I think that is, what I see in you, your identity being solid and sure and grounded in God.
Yes.
Grounded in Jesus Christ. And that is very, very important.
Very important.
We can speak it, but living it out is a whole nother thing. And so I just really want to commend you for that. But I know it was a process, and you had to get to that point. And so when you talk about like getting to that point, so do you have children?
Yes, I have 3 adult children. I'm grateful for that. And but yes, they 25, 23, and 21. I don't even look like I'm like them.
Let me stop.
And I have 3 grandbabies as well. Wow. 3-year-old, 2-year-old, and a 5-month-old.
Oh, good.
So yes, and even with parenting, it was a process. And even with marriage and then being divorced, but understood that I had to be careful about how I date and everything now, as a minister as well as a parent.
Wow.
Because my kids see me in a different light. They see you in a way. So so definitely learning how to continue to do that.
And we won't get into parenting and divorce because I know, but I do want to ask you this. Did you did you play a large role in helping them restore from divorce?
Yes, I think so. Definitely trying to keep a culture of it's us, you know what I'm saying, and being able to, and like I think that, and the main thing is also getting counseling for them is good. Yeah, I mean, I hope that people understand. And sometimes we can stay too long in a thing because of the children, but really, the children help us. We should really know that. What I'm trying to say is counseling is definitely needed. And then because of the counseling, I was able to have that big part to allow them to heal as well through the divorce. Yeah. Yes.
Well, we are coming to a close now, coming to an end. Yes. I told you the 30 minutes will go by quick.
It does.
But I hope that whoever is listening and you are going through a divorce, you are divorced, that you hear, right, there is a life after divorce, and the Lord desires for you to be restored.
Yes.
The Lord's mind has not changed about you. His desire is always for restoration, and his mind didn't change about that. Now, we know that the Bible speaks about divorce, and our hope and prayer is that get with the counseling, with just prayer and you and your husband coming together, that you can avoid that.
Yes.
With the will of the Lord being played out in your life. But we also understand that sometimes that is the situation. It's a situation. That's a situation that you have to address. I hope Minister Tanya's testimony and story encourages you that you are not in this situation alone.
Come
on. And the Lord desires to heal you.
Yes.
Do you do one-on-one ministry with people who are trying to overcome divorce?
I have.
Okay, you have.
I have, and I also talk to ones that are still in marriage, and I just, again, continue to encourage them to always work on you.
Yeah.
And then, and do the work. Like I said, y'all, marriage is work.
It's work.
And I think if we would look at it like that, we wouldn't be so easy to get in and get out, in the covenant. But yes, I still minister to people and sometimes they just gotta take their eyes off the situation and off their partner and off what's going on, and again, look back up.
Right.
And when you do that, things work out a little bit better. It's not as bad as you think.
Right.
But yeah, that's it.
So I'll end with 3 things.
Yes.
1, king. If you are out there and you're looking for a queen, honey, I have someone who has declared herself marriage material. Now let me stop. My husband said I need to stay out of people's business, so I need to stay out of people. But no, for real, we have a ministry here called Divorce Care. I know we've talked about that before while being in this segment. But if you need ministry support and being restored after divorce, contact our counseling department and see how you can sign up for divorce care. Yes. Number 2, if you are married still and you may be contemplating divorce or going through a separation, then I want you to commit to counseling, as Minister Tanya said. Contact our counseling department again. Reverend and Mrs. Stanley Purvis, Reverend Stanley Purvis and Mrs. Tinger Purvis are here to help. We have coaches, marriage coaches, marriage mentors. We have divorce care, so we have the resources here to help you. But the most important thing is to remember God loves you. Yes, you are loved. You are not thrown away. He desires, just like Minister Tanya, to use this as a testimony to bring glory to him. Absolutely. And so marriages work.
Yes, it is.
Restoration is work.
It is.
But do the work with God and let God do the work in you. And so we are out of time. I am going to end here before I see hands flailing from the media room. We don't want to. We don't want to. Oh, I see hands flailing. We don't want to disappoint them at all. Absolutely. Because we are grateful for them. And so I hope that you will join us for another session of Marriage and Ministry. And thank you for joining us for this session. And I pray that you're encouraged in your relationships, knowing that God wants all to be well for you according to his will for you. All right. You all have an excellent day. And thank you so much, Minister Tanya. Thank you.
This will last forever. Together forever. This will last forever. Joined together when God is joined together. Nothing or no one can put us under. This will last forever. Together forever. This will last forever. Joined together when God is joined together. Nothing or no one can put us under. This will last forever. Together forever. This will last forever. Joined together when God is joined together. Nothing